All righty. Okay, good morning, everybody.
Morning.
Thanks for coming. I was thinking this morning about the whole listing presentation. This is our success series where we're going to do a little bit of a workshop on listing presentations. And what to me is most important about you preparing for a listing appointment is that you actually prepare for it, right? So I figured this would kind of put that into play. You know, people think, oh, I'll just go in and wing it. It's somebody I know.
No.
Oh, well, okay. Anyway, you can't wing it. I mean, you could wing it, right? We could wing it, but it'll show, especially if your confidence isn't built up well yet, and if you're new and you're not sure and you have questions and you can't answer them, you know, it definitely will show. So the best thing to do is to prepare for it. So what I thought we'd do today is do more of a workshop versus me standing here and telling you how to do a listing presentation or what to do, how to create one, how to have your appointment. I figured we'd kind of brainstorm together and come up with some thoughts and ideas on what you need to do to prepare for a listing appointment. And what you need to have ready. And we did cover some of this on Monday in our boot camp. And so, but some of you have been on listing appointments, some of you have practiced listing appointments, and maybe you've even observed or shadowed an agent on a listing appointment. So talk to me a little bit about what you need to do, what do you need to have with you when it comes to a listing appointment? What kind of information and or resources do you need to bring with you?
Well, I have a game plan, which I actually need to reprint because my hard drive went kaput. So I need to try and dig out somewhere, but it has a plan of like exactly what I'm gonna do for the clients.
Okay.
You know, the photos and the virtual tour and, you know, the Zillow, the Premier Zillow,
Okay.
you know, that we get through Keller Williams.
Yep.
And, you know, just really nice description of the property. You know, I write a big old essay about, you know, my property, my listings, and just the way I'm gonna market.
So would you call that a marketing plan?
Yeah, marketing
Okay.
plan, yep.
All right, so you want to have with you a marketing plan so you can tell the homeowner how you're going to market their house to get it sold.
Yeah.
And so your marketing plan includes the compelling description you're going to write in the MLS, the pictures, a video tour.
I get some really good pictures. I pay a good amount of money for pictures, but I mean, they're really, really good pictures.
Good.
And
Good.
the guy does a Matterport and he does
Great.
Aerial shots, you know,
Right.
so it's.
Good. So a solid, good marketing plan.
Yeah.
Fabulous. What else? What else do you want to have prepared to talk with or to show to your potential seller?
Comparative market analysis.
Okay, we'll just make CMA. Okay, good. What else?
A little information about yourself,
Okay.
I put my resume in there too.
bio or resume or.
Okay.
Previous sales too, I put previous sales.
Okay, so let's say sales history for that. But Mandy, the one you said was information about yourself. So there's a term for that we often hear people talk about. It's
Bio.
It's included in your bio. It's basically your value proposition, your unique value proposition. Information about you that makes you the right person for them to work with. So we'll include that in here. And bio is, you know, is probably an extension of that because it's usually a little bit more wordy, you know, a little bit of your history, a little bit about you personally, maybe a little bit about you professionally, that supports your unique value proposition. The unique value proposition is, you know, a short 1 or 2 sentence statement, right? About yourself, what makes you different and unique and what you can bring to the table. Okay, what else?
Estimate of costs.
Oh,
Aggregate estimate.
proceeds, good. Net proceed estimate, maybe? We'll just say like net sheet, maybe. Good.
A little handy dandy laser measure thingy.
Bring a measure tape with you. Yeah, that's
You know,
good.
metal laser.
Yeah, be ready
It's $20
for-
for a little one. It's like, and you just
You just point and shoot, yeah.
Where'd you get it at?
Home Depot.
Okay.
Along with CMA, so the CMA is specific to their property, right? But thinking a little bit more broad, what information would be helpful for them to know?
The current market.
The market, yep, that's what I was thinking.
Their neighborhood, what's going on in their neighborhood?
Yep, and the market in general, you know, the market, your expertise in the market is gonna help them, is going to help guide them through determining things like asking price, right? If you're aware that the market in their neighborhood is trending up, then that might help them understand where to go on their price a little bit, or what to expect. So good. Anything else you can think of?
Let's think contract.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I'll just say documents. Yep, you wanna have those ready and available, hopefully, because what's the goal of the listing appointment?
To get it signed.
To get it signed, exactly. So you wanna have your documents there and ready. What if this was somebody who's not sold a house or many houses before?
Something about the company that you work for?
Okay.
Brokerage you work for?
We'll,
Our standing in in comparison to the competition?
okay. So KW and individual information. But what would help them understand, what I'm getting at is expectations. Their expectations of the process. Maybe they're not familiar with the fact that
So like
they're gonna.
step by step.
Yeah, possibly.
Here's that diagram.
Yep. Expectations process. If they've sold 12 houses in the last 15 years, then they probably have a pretty good feel for what their process is going to be like. But if it's been a while since they have sold a house, or maybe have never, they may need a little bit more information about what to expect. The buyer's gonna come in and want to have access to the property for inspections, you know, we're gonna need to have, an appraiser's going to come in, there are some things that are going to need to happen before you allow these people in so that those can go successfully. So just an idea of expectations. Anything else?
At this point, would you talk about what would need to be, moved around or cleaned up or?
Could be, yeah, you might wanna be prepared for a conversation about, preparing the house, the property. Okay. Now, all of these things are, sort of items, right? These are kind of items. But you also want to remember that you're gonna there's a psychological component to it, right? So psychologically, you would want to be prepared to have conversations with them to build their understanding, but also maybe hold their hand a little bit of guidance, a little bit of psychological, emotional support. So really the first thing you want to do is, and we talked about this the other day, is in boot camp, is to create a relationship, really. And that, you know, if this is the first time you're physically meeting with them in person, it may take a couple of minutes to just develop some kind of a commonality, a connection, build a connection with them. Okay. So that's a little bit of the psychological component. Can you think of anything else that would be helpful to have with you prepared? That's all right, this is a good start. So the question is, all right, I know that I'm gonna need to help them, or be prepared to help them understand how to prepare their property, expectations of the process, the marketing plan, have CMA, etc. Where can you, this is a lot of information for you to have ready, and nobody expects anybody to have it at the tip of their mind every moment of the day, especially when you're new. So what are some resources we have access to where we can find some of this information? Command, okay. Where else?
MLS.
Okay. MLS is gonna help you with could help you with the CMA, it could help you with some numbers, sales history. Market, certainly help you with market, understanding of the market. What else? Where else?
The hub that you were
Yeah.
speaking of earlier.
Yeah, so I'm gonna say KW South Shore in general, because a lot of information is gonna be on the hub, but I also, want you to remember that there are people and agents here and staff here that can help you as well. Okay, so our brokerage is helpful. Keller Williams International is also a good resource for you. I'm gonna put KWRI, Keller Williams Realty International, because there are a lot of information online. You have access to training, education, you have access to listing presentations that you can utilize. So KWRI is also another great resource. Anywhere else? What about, so we talked about MLS, what within MLS? You pull statistics and do a search, but you also have from Stellar, from your dashboard, you have access to some programs that will help you format a CMA. Like print the information, so.
University or something like that?
Say again?
Isn't it called a university?
Stellar University maybe, or, so, yeah. So like RPR, I know is one of them. Remind, sure. Yeah. But, and also just searches on MLS. Okay. So, we've found a resource for your CMA. We found resources for sales history. Where would you get a net sheet? Or how can you find that, help them figure out their proceeds?
A lender.
A lender,
Like a vendor lender.
a vendor. So there are lots of different places you can actually, there are paper where you can figure it out, pencil and pen.
Wasn't there an app or something?
There are title company apps, yep. Some of our vendors, yep, that can help you create a net sheet. You can print the net sheet, you can leave it with them, you can email it to them. So yeah, through those apps, so that's a good idea. So that's where we can get a net sheet. We know where we can find information on the market, right? Where would you find the documents?
DocuSign?
Yeah, you can. So I'm gonna just put DocuSign, because that is through command. You can also find the documents in MLS, well, Stellar. There are two apps in Stellar. One is Transaction Desk and one is Form Simplicity. You can pull blank docs down from those as well. Really helpful if you're in a real quick, you don't have an opportunity created, or you don't have a DocuSign room created yet, you just want to pull out a blank one, you can do it very quickly through both of those. Okay. Where would you, your bio and your unique value proposition?
That's, you have to build yourself.
You kind of have to build it yourself, yeah, but there are resources to help you with that, right? Marketing plan. What's a resource for some ideas for marketing plan?
I went on to Lisa, what's her name, Lisa?
Spencer?
Spencer's website, and she's got some stuff there too. Yeah.
Do you know it off the top of your head, her website,
Facebook, just.
Just her Facebook page?
Yeah.
Lisa Spencer is a Keller Williams,
Coach.
agent who's now in a training role. She's been in a number of different roles throughout the Chadwick Group. And she's the one who runs the Monday, I think it's at noon, Kathy puts it on the
Yeah.
calendar, team with Lisa Spencer.
Yeah.
She's
here in Florida, right?
Yeah, oh yeah, she's in Lakeland, Plant City.
Oh.
No, she's part of the Chadwick Group.
Oh.
Yeah, so, and she's taught classes here before for us recently. She's taught classes all around. She's a great resource. So we'll just kind of consider her in somewhere like as an example of Keller Williams resources. Okay, so yeah, so that's a great place to find information on the marketing plan. And then where else would you pull information from your marketing plan, or how did you develop that?
Well, my friend Patty gave me like her marketing plan thing, and I kind of like took some things from that,
Ideas.
you know what I mean?
Great. Yep, so other Keller Williams agents.
Yep.
Good.
Yep.
What about reading, you know, like, we used to have part of your marketing plan is writing the compelling description
Yeah.
for the MLS. That comes real easily to some people, and some people find that they struggle with it a little bit because they don't, whatever, for whatever reason. So have you ever read through some marketing, some descriptions on the MLS that other agents have written?
That's what I've done to actually get myself, my ideas going a little
Right.
bit, you know?
Right, I mean, there's nothing wrong with pulling some ideas from other people's
Yeah. I mean,
descriptions.
especially if you're in a specific community like my townhouse. I mean, I was looking at like, I didn't know there was like a separate dog park for small dogs and bigger dogs, you know, so I put that, you know,
Yeah.
that was
You
there,
learn
so it might
information.
appeal to
Okay.
some people, you know?
Good, that's another great, yeah, MLS, another way to use MLS. And then, where can you find information about the process and helping the seller understand the expectations of selling a home, the process of selling a home? Where can you find some of that?
It's in our boot camp book.
It's in the, listing presentation we have in the boot camp book, manual, that's true.
A lot
Yep.
of the title companies have like forms printed out, things you should and should not do to prepare your home.
Vendors, that's a great one. Vendors are a great resource for something like that. Absolutely. They can provide you with sometimes they're willing to co-brand it with you as well, print them for you. So that's a really good resource. Good. And then information on preparing the property. Do we know where we're getting that?
There was
Well-
a sheet in the binder.
Yep, there's a sheet, there's
Boot camp
a
binder.
page in the listing presentation that's in the boot camp binder, for sure. Good. Also, talking with other people, your experience, right? You might walk in and notice that their, I don't know, carpets need cleaning. And you know that because of your experience, or you've tried to sell a house before where that was a stumbling block, and so, yeah, you build that as you go.
I'll tell you one thing I did, because I'm gonna list my mother's house sometime soon, and there was a house that I thought was way overpriced in her community, so I decided, you know, let me call the agent and see why she listed it that high. And
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if she was gonna be mean or nice or what, but I got on the phone with her, she was super, super nice.
Ah,
And she's like, oh, she volunteered some information which was very useful, like for her community, there's a special sign that you need to have, you know? So I found that out, and she's like, if you need any help, just give me a call. And I was like, oh, my mother's name is your name too, by the way, her name is Pam. And I was building, you know.
you built a connection with the
Yeah.
other agent,
Right,
yeah,
yeah,
and you're able to get
so-
some information from her.
Yeah.
Great, good, yeah. I think you'll find most agents are usually pretty willing to, I mean, we're all in the same, have the same goal, so.
Yeah.
All right, okay, so we have a list of things that we know we would wanna include or bring with us, include in the presentation, or bring with us to the presentation. And then we have some ideas of places where we can go to find that information. So what's the next step?
Booking the appointment.
Let's assume you already have the appointment booked.
Oh,
I'm gonna do a CMA and just really try and figure out the price range that I wanna present to the seller. You know, let them choose the price, of course, but say, okay, I came up with $350 to $370 or something like that, you know, what do you think?
Right.
Sort of thing, you know?
Good.
And then showing them the comp, sometimes it's really tough to comp though, you know?
Right, depending on the property. What did you say, Paula?
I was saying prepare the presentation,
Prepare your presentation.
both paper and online, depending on the person.
Ah, okay.
I used to do I tried to do everything online, you know, so I did this PowerPoint and everything, and I have it saved. And some people really are very tactile, and they would prefer to flip through some pages. So sometimes it's an age thing, and sometimes it's you know, they wanna hold on to it, you know, think about it.
So you have the same presentation in digital
Paper.
format and paper format?
Yeah.
Good, great idea, really
I
good
always
idea.
bring them a
Yep.
big old thing of CMA to look at the comparable properties and leave it with them so they can, you know, think it over.
And what do you use to create that?
I've been using Cloud CMA.
Cloud
I'd say,
CMA, yeah, that was another one. Yep. So remember that those resources, Crowd CMA, RPR, things like that, are not going to do the analysis for you. They're simply printing out the data. So you still need to do the analysis before you create that CMA, right? You wanna determine which houses really are the most comparable for them. That those are the ones you're gonna wanna print on the CMA. Okay, remember that. All right, so you create a presentation, virtual, in your case, virtual and written. So how are you going to do that? We have several different things to provide to you if you want some to start from. You can also create something totally from scratch. You mentioned PowerPoint, right, Paulette?
Mm-hmm.
Was that something you created from scratch, or did you start with something?
No, I had downloaded it. In fact, I had gone through Bold and they had a listing presentation, but there's like a gazillion listing presentations out there. You can just kind of go in and tweak it for yourself, so.
So it's already pre-made and then you just change it to.
Yeah, you just go in and you'll put your name, and sometimes there's things in there that I don't necessarily want, so I'll delete a page.
Yep.
Because I'm like, when I do a listing presentation, nobody cares about that. So I'll pull that out, but I mean, it's still there, it's just I save a certain version for certain people. And in fact, every listing's different, and so I changed the listing presentation based on what I know about that person. Like, some people are like, okay, let's get to the point, whereas other people want much more detail.
So have you established that connection before you're sitting down for the appointment, so that you have an idea of that person's personality? So you know how you prepare differently for the appointment?
Well, yeah, a couple of things. I usually have been in the house before I do a presentation, so I kinda get an idea of what I'm looking for. And plus, I like to get an idea of, are they willing to make repairs? Do they have any money for repairs?
Mm-hmm.
You know, some of that stuff comes up in the listing presentation, but I kinda wanna be prepared.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I mean, I just kinda cater it to the person a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Okay, good, so you do tailor it to the person. Certainly a viable option. I mean, you can create a standard presentation that you take along to every appointment, and then maybe tailor which pieces of that you're presenting and how you're presenting it, depending on the situation. And you could also do more of a personalized presentation that you create a little bit differently each time, depending on the circumstances, so that it's really more personalized. The entire thing is more personalized to them. The beauty of technology is that it's so much easier today to do that than it was years ago. And when you print, you print your version onto paper. You don't send that off to a printer to do it, you just simply print it yourself. So it used to be, right, that you'd have to send that off to a printer and you have to wait for it to come back, and then you can't really, it's not easy to change it very often. But because of our technology, you could have that presentation in some form, PowerPoint or Command or any other format you want to use, and have it ready to be changed on the fly.
I spent money and got a laser printer.
Yeah.
Because I figured it'd be
Yeah.
more professional looking.
Good.
Thing
And
is
our
heavy,
printer-
oh my god, it's like, and I live on a townhouse, I'm like, those things are heavy.
And our printer here in the office does a pretty good job of
Yeah.
printing pretty high quality, and
Yeah.
it's 3 cents a page, 30 cents for color, so you don't even have, if there's no color on your page, you print it in black and white, or you could print the black and white ones separate from the color ones and save some money that way.
Repeat that for everybody one more time. 30 cents a color page.
30
I
cents.
didn't know that my first month.
Oh, you printed a lot of color?
And I took these buyers out to see like 20 homes, and my bill the following month was $50 just to
Ooh.
print
Wow.
from
Wow.
here. And it came out of my account, and I was like, oh.
Why is that so high?
I didn't know that. That's a big difference. 30 cents to what, 3 cents was
Yeah.
black and white. But I wanted it all fancy and pretty for them. But I think I was even making my copies in color.
Oh,
Like,
okay,
that was
yeah,
where I
don't do
screwed
that.
up.
Don't do that. Yeah, don't do that. Okay, so if you're gonna sit down and create a presentation, let's talk a little bit through, give me some ideas of how you would you've got the resources, you've found the information, how are you going to format it? how are you going to put it together in a form that you want to present to somebody else? Do you have a physical presentation you take, you said, and you do as well? Have you created anything yourself? No, and Moya, have you gotten into, okay, okay.
I did a cloud CMA, which I thought was really pretty. I mean,
Yeah.
for buyers, but I haven't done a listing.
Okay, good.
I actually like this guy, I won this listing presentation, it was only my second listing presentation on my own without
Right.
being on a team.
Right.
He originally said he's a mortgage guy, he's got friends that can list his property,
Right.
and he listed with me.
He did.
Wow.
Yeah.
Awesome. So you did something in that
Yeah,
presentation.
yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
So how did you create your presentation? You said you sort of started with something that, as a basis, and you personalized it to yourself. What are your thoughts about, like, if we were to consider each of these pieces a separate section or separate page of your presentation, how would you want that to look? What have you found helpful with what you've used? What would you change about it if you were to create a new one today? And then for those that don't have one yet, how do you think, if you were the seller, think about what would make sense to you if an agent came in to talk with you about listing your home? And if you're thinking of building that presentation, what would you start with?
Well, I got those really nice folders, those Keller Williams folders,
Mhm.
and I use
Yeah.
that.
Okay.
You know, I've got a stack of them at home.
Great.
I have a separate folder for myself
Yep.
that I write notes on when
Yeah.
I'm looking through the home, like covered floors, do all this stuff that, you know, when
Right.
I'm going through the house.
Right.
And I'll put them in a specific order. I forgot the exact order, but I put them in order as far as like my, you know, past sales and the listing presentation and the
Okay.
CMA, and, you know, I actually bring a blank contract with me as well, by the way.
Uh-huh.
Not to have them sign right away, but here
Oh, we are.
is a blank contract, so you get an idea
The
of
listing
what you're
agreement
doing.
or purchase?
A listing agreement.
Okay.
I bring a listing agreement with
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
If they wanna sign it today, great,
Right.
but I say here, look this over
Good
so
idea.
you know you're familiar with it, so when you're ready to sign.
You
and
know what
then
you're signing.
Sign.
Perfect.
And call me with any questions.
Perfect.
You know?
Mandy had mentioned bringing the listing agreement with you in hopes that they sign it, and that's a
Yeah.
really good idea, for the thought of leaving a blank one with them
Yeah.
to review if they don't sign. Okay, good. So you start out with, what's the very first part of yours? You kind of gave a list of what your folder includes. What's at the beginning?
The beginning was, I think it was the past sales, I think I put on
Okay.
top. Yeah,
Okay.
my past sales, I put the picture, I put a little thumbnail picture, I put the
Of
list.
their home?
Of the
Right.
home that I sold.
Oh,
So I
great,
put a little
okay.
list.
Mhm.
I put the list price, what I sold it at, and then how many days it took to get it under
Okay.
contract.
Okay. What do you start yours with, Paulette?
I always make like it's a picture of their house and their names at the top of it, and just a description of it. Cause I usually go online, I'll go to the county website, so I
Okay.
can get basic information.
Right.
And it also helps me to kinda see, okay, this is what the website says that's in your house, but what have you done since then? Just to get a better understanding, and then, I personalize it in the beginning, and then I go into, okay, this is the market information about, the neighborhood that you're in, recent
Okay.
sales, so the
Good.
CMA and all of that. And then, I also have the listing agreement there, whether they sign it or not,
Right.
just so they can see. And I also, I do it for buyers too, but at the actual contract,
Mhm.
Sales contract, the regular one and as is, to talk about the difference, so that they kinda can get in their mind which way they wanna go. I know it tends to be the trend that everybody's doing as is right now.
Right.
But I, kinda go over that and what the buyers see when they see that too.
So with your expectations of the process conversation includes the eventual contract
Yes,
that you're going to be presented with. Process through contract, that's good. So you start, I've heard two different routes, and both are great, and I think for Mandy and Moya, this might be helpful for you to start thinking about. His process is to first start talking about what your history is and what you've done in the past. you begin with information about the seller and their property and what that's about, and then you go into yourself as an agent at some point, okay? What do you think? Where would you start?
I would start the second one.
Okay, I mean, there are other ways, there are other places to start too, I'm just saying in general.
The very first thing I do is show me around your house. You know, that's the
Yeah.
very first thing, is show me around your house. I get to know them before I do the actual listing presentation. So when they've showed me their house and I've taken all the notes, then, cause I feel like I wanna show them what I do, but then I wanna like kinda move into like, okay, let's look at the CMA and compare your home to the ones that I've gotten.
So you kinda get to know them as you walk through the house, that's the first
Yeah.
big piece of it, that's great,
Yeah.
good. How about you, Moya, any thoughts on what you would,
I like that approach.
yeah?
Seeing the house, kind of walking around, building some rapport,
Mm-hmm,
and then maybe the next thing is going into a little bit about me and Keller Williams, and then going from there.
good. Yeah, and some people, you know, again, to Paulette's point about matching their personality a little bit in the way you present it to them, some people are gonna be willing, as they're walking you through their house, to talk about all of that, and you might find that most of the information you wanted to present to them in your plan, you've already discussed, right? Other people, not, and so you'll need to sit down and go through the plan there, but the key is having it there, whether it's personal, whether it's conversation as you walk through the house, or whether it's as you're sitting at the kitchen table going through your presentation, either one, good. So we've got it kind of split, y'all think you'd rather sit first and kind of talk about their property, show them information specific to their property, and y'all would rather walk around and learn a little bit about it and then maybe talk about stats. Okay, so there's different ways to do it, right? That's what this is, that's what this is intended to be, is a collaborative workshop, so you can start thinking about what you might wanna do. Do you have an interest in, refining or changing the presentation that you have? Is that,
I'm always in change mode because I learn as I go along.
Okay.
And especially being, I was in the Panhandle before and now I'm here and things are just different. Houses and neighborhoods are different, people are different, and so I'm always in adjusting mode.
Good, okay. All right, so what would the next step be in your actual presentation? If you're gonna create a presentation, you've walked through the house, you've got some information from them, they've gotten some information from you in the conversation, you have shown them, maybe your presentation itself begins with a picture of their home, or some information specific to their home, tax record information, etc. At what point, what's the next natural, in your mind, what do you think the next natural step would be in that
You know what, now that I
presentation
think
itself?
about it, I wanna change what I said before. I don't show my past sales first, I show the game plan marketing strategy first.
Okay.
Yeah.